Okay, it's time for another farm failure. That's up next. Hello everyone, this is Dwayne with Edge of Nowhere Farm, and we're coming to you here today. It is July 2019. So here we are. We've actually got kind of a monsoon morning. We've got some sun and clouds, mainly sun, but it's getting real hot. For the most part, because of the irrigation schedule that we have, all of our trees look pretty good. In fact, you'll see them behind me here. That's our mulberry, our Shangri-La mulberry. You guys have seen that one before, but you know, they're doing really actually pretty well. We've got citrus trees throughout here that start to get a little bit of a challenge to them, so they get a little bit of leaf curl if they go a couple days without water, but for the most part we're okay. So we were a little surprised a few weeks ago to see this tree go from vibrant sorta to dead. This is our Meyer lemon tree, and I'll go ahead and link the last video we did on this tree. We did a harvest on this tree not long ago where we took all of our lemons off of here, and you know, the harvest was okay. We had a lot of lemons on here for the size tree that it is. However, one of the things that I noticed pretty quickly was this tree has always kind of struggled. Now, we had another tree here before this one, and it actually is another lemon tree. So what that tree was a dwarf lemon tree. However, we didn't want a dwarf tree in here around the rest of our citrus trees that are not dwarf trees. That, and what you can't see next to Lori, is our chicken coop. So we wanted to get as much in here as we could to help shade that chicken coop. So what we did is we pulled out the original tree and we replaced it with this one, which was supposed to be a semi-dwarf Meyer lemon tree. This tree's been in the ground for about 3.5 years, so it's had plenty of time to grow, and you can see as a semi-dwarf tree, man, there's not much to it. This is by far the smallest tree we have here on the farm. The only exception would be one other tree that's struggling that we actually bought from Costco, that's also struggling, very similar to this one, but hanging in there. Otherwise, all of our trees are 2, 3, 4 or more times bigger than this tree. I kind of wanted to go through and do kind of an autopsy of this tree for you guys, see if between all of us we can figure out what's going on. But before we do that on this tree, I want to show you what the tree that was here looks like, because I know the first thing you're probably thinking is, what's in the ground that's causing this? And I don't think it's the ground. Let's go check out that original tree. Okay, so here we are in the front of the farm. So this is actually the tree that we transplanted. This tree is a dwarf lemon tree. It was actually listed on the tag as a Meyer lemon. We've come to find out after harvesting from this last year, definitely not a Meyer lemon. Probably a Eureka lemon would be my guess. But this is the tree we originally had in that spot. So now it had a fantastic harvest last year. It's been in the ground up here for about 2.5 years. And actually we've kind of put this tree through the ringer. When we took it out of that spot, we put it into a small pot about this big. It sat in that pot for the entire first summer. So it really baked in the summer sun, and you know, it was pretty stunted. It just kind of hung out there, didn't do much. Then we brought it out here in the front, planted it in the front, and now I can tell you, as far as the soil, this soil is horrible. We basically, as you can see, because we're at the front of the property, we try to keep it as nice looking for the neighbors as we can. So you can see I don't have much in the way of a ring around this tree. We do a little bit of mulching on here, but not too heavy. The birds have kind of had their way with it, so it's kind of strewn everywhere. But this tree was transplanted into a pot. It was sat in the pot for a full summer and winter. Then we came out and transplanted again into this spot in horrible dirt. And you can see this thing right now, middle of summer, is already putting on new growth. Nice green flushes of new growth. Just a beautiful tree. It's a dwarf tree, but it's actually pretty big. It's probably about 6 feet, maybe 7 feet across in diameter, and it's probably about a good 4 or 5 feet tall. So this tree, which was in that spot, is doing fantastic. Okay, so as you can see from that original tree is doing fantastic. Given the soil, like I was saying, man, it's amazing how well it's actually doing up there. So looking back at this one, really kind of ideal soil, just like everything else we have going on around it. However, it is a dead tree. So what I want to do, I want to go ahead and pull this up so we can take a look at the roots itself, take a look at the tree in the ground, and see if we can figure out what might have caused this. First things first, I need to get the wood chips pulled away so we can see what's going on. Okay, so now we can get a much better look at the tree. So now drip lines, I want to kind of look at that first. So as far as where the feeder roots from this tree should be, they should be out at the drip line, which is the edge of your branches. So you can see it goes pretty much the size of this ring. So I can see that I should have roots out to here without any problems. Obviously, the next thing we want to look at, like I was saying, we're here in the desert. I need to make sure I'm looking at water. So what I want to do is look between my irrigation. So I've got a drip line here, I've got a drip line there, and then I have a drip line back there. So I'm going to go right between them. It's definitely not completely dry. And then of course, as I get closer to where we're watering, it's definitely nice and moist. So no issues there actually. As far as irrigation, this is obviously getting irrigation the same as the rest of our trees. So next thing I look at is I look at the trunk itself. So now I talk a little bit, have talked in the past about planting depth. So looking at the planting depth, I can tell you that I probably could have planted this just a little bit shallower because the root flare is right there. So the root flare is a little deep, not too bad though, maybe an inch or two below the surface. Not uncommon for a few of the trees that I have here. So that's really not all that unusual either. So to see that is kind of a surprise because I'll be honest, I thought maybe I just planted this way too deep, but I'm starting to get to some of my roots here. Now here's something I'm seeing already. So now looking at this, I can see that just pushing my hand on this root is pulling that top layer. That top layer is coming off and you can see this, wow. Oh my, that's really moving a lot. So now one thing I am seeing, this was an original stake that I had next to the tree. That, however, shouldn't be doing anything, definitely not. Boy, I can tell you what, look at this, you guys. This tree's been in the ground for 3.5 years. It's been struggling the whole time. And now I'm really starting to see, wow, okay, that's not normal. Let's get some of this dirt moved away. It hasn't been sitting in water. There's more of those roots. Oh yeah, those roots, you guys, are just basically chipping away. Our fruit trees don't normally have really deep roots. The roots go out, which is why we irrigate the way we do. I'm not seeing much in the way of roots. I've got a really small one there. So I've got actually 2 roots. I've got one there. I've got one going out this way. I've got a decent sized one coming out this way. You can see my old stake here. But looking at the stake, you can see it definitely did not have any problems with that going into the trunk. So that definitely wasn't an issue. I've got another root coming out this way. And I've got one more going out this way. Looking at this, I can see this has actually been dying for quite some time. But what I was also kind of expecting to see, I was expecting to possibly maybe see some beetles or something, or some larvae that like Japanese beetle larvae that I know sometimes can munch on the roots of your trees. Definitely not seeing that, because I would see that in here as well. So I think the only other thing left to do, let's go ahead and pull this thing all the way out. That was not hard for me to get out of the ground. I'll tell you, I'm not a big guy, so to be able to pull a 3-year-old tree up out of the ground that easily, that's not a good sign. So looking at the roots here, you can see not much really happened down here. Should have seen a lot more of these larger roots coming out into the drip line where the water is. You can see some of them went, but not too many. You can tell, yeah, these have really been deteriorating for quite a while. I don't have a lot in the way of roots that look like we're wrapping around it. I know when we bought this tree, obviously it's in a pot. I've got one more root attached. I wanted to look out here also, see if I see any grub activity. And surprisingly, no. Again, I was expecting to see that too. So yeah, definitely no grub activity there. So that's not it either. Obviously, there's a few things that I know were not it. I know the irrigation is fine because I have good soil moisture down here. It's not overly wet, which I was expecting. It shouldn't be the way we irrigate. However, it's also not dry. From a fertilization standpoint, we fertilize this on the same program we do all the other fruit trees, and we've had no issues with our fruit trees as far as having this problem. Never had that happen before. I don't see anything in here as far as pests that would be in here and be doing damage to the roots themselves. So that's definitely in my mind probably off the list as well. I just don't see that going on around here at all. One of the things that I know is a challenge for us here in Arizona, really anywhere, is getting the right rootstock. I'm leaning towards that, and the reason why is because these roots are really not doing what I would expect a citrus tree to do, which is grow strongly out to really reach for the water. It puts on a lot of strong growth here in Arizona. Whenever anybody asks me what kind of tree should I plant where I know I'm going to have success or have high success, citrus trees in Arizona is almost a no-brainer. They're very, very easy to grow. Of course, I say that with a dead tree in my hand, but they're generally pretty easy to grow. You can grow them in rocks, honestly. Down in the soil, throw rocks on top, you're usually okay. But I'm really leaning towards the rootstock. This rootstock should have done much, much better. Now, the tree itself, this tree we bought from Home Depot, as far as the rootstock, I don't remember, honestly. I wasn't paying a lot of attention to rootstocks. However, typically, those are citron type rootstocks. I'm assuming it was some type of citron rootstock, but I don't know that for sure. But I'm really leaning towards rootstock because it's never done well. To see it just die like this, now pulling this up and basically seeing nothing in the way of roots coming out of the base of this tree in the rootstock, that is definitely, in my mind, probably what we've got going on here. But you know what? I'd really like to get your guys' input. You guys have had a chance to see this as well, kind of see what I'm looking at. So I'd really like to see what you guys think, what might have happened to this lemon tree. One thing I know for sure, just in case this is actually some type of disease that I can't tell, all of the leaves that I have around this and the tree itself will not be going through our wood chipper. This is going to be cut up, go into the garbage. It's not going anywhere else. I definitely can't burn it. We're way too dry out here, but those are the options. This is definitely coming out of the farm. It's not going to remain. So this one has got to go. We do have a lot of success here on the farm, but we also have a lot of failure. So wanted to bring another failure to you guys today. You know, obviously we're not exactly sure what this may have been. Would love to see what you guys think down in the comments section down below. But yeah, you know what? Citrus trees in Arizona is not a surefire 100% that it's going to work. And this is a good example. So just want to thank you for joining us today. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel. Questions or comments in the comment section down below. Instagram and Facebook, we post content there you won't see here on the YouTube channel. And our Amazon page, I'll leave the link down in the description. That is a free, painless way to help support the channel. If you click on that link and start your Amazon shopping there, doesn't matter what you buy. As long as you start with that link, you help support us here. So just want to thank you for joining us today and remind you, if we can farm on the edge of nowhere, so can you. Hey, here's a little toad. Watch out there, little guy. Here. All right. You need to save this little guy. He's going over in this tree. Are you doing a video on the frog?